Day filled with competition again. Towards the second half of practice, you'll see a drill we'll call red zone lockout. It's a scoring system, offense against defense. It's a good, fun competition to do. Third day of some more installs, and then we'll finish with some game and clock management situations. So be a fun day to get rolling again with the guys, and this will be our third day in this block. Take a break tomorrow with them, and then we'll come back and do another 3-day block with them. So doing these small segments, a lot of time, a lot of intensity together, and then we'll reset and do it again. So with all that said, we can get it rocking with you guys.
Hey, Dan, with Jaden, who's been here when the rookies got here, and now this 3-day session, these practices are kind of starting to add up. Are there any benchmarks or kind of signals you look for that he's showing you guys signs of real progress, both offensively and kind of locker room-wise?
Well, I think, one, we have an effective plan for him, and Jaden's the type of guy that wants to go nail it in terms of each day, each marker to go, but we're really going to stay true to this. You know, we have a really good plan, and, like, what's fun about it is, like, he's the type of person that wants to nail this part, so we're just not too far down the line of where we're headed, and staying right in the moment with him, that helps, and he's really doing a good job. But with the team, we're going into our third day. And so I think we all remember that because you want to look down the line so much, but he's doing outstanding. And we're really pleased where we're at, but we're not changing the timelines or the guidelines of how we're going to approach things.
What did you make of his performance in the 2-minute drill yesterday?
I thought over the last 2 days, both sessions, there's been some really good things. And so it's been nice to have 2-minute and red zone because those get highlighted and emphasized so quickly. So we'll have a little bit more play pass in some early part of practice today. But like I said, he's off to a really good start.
And it seems like, at least early on, he's not scrambling. Is that intentional or?
Nope. No? Yeah, just early on, I told you way back, the OTAs are more passing, and we're not even in pads yet. The defense and offense only had 2 days of installs, so like there's not a lot of different coverages, there's not a lot of different blitzes, and then today a little bit more, and then a little bit more. So like there's a process to how we do things, and so we haven't even put in our quarterback movement plays yet. You know, so like I'd caution you to look ahead too much at practice on one part because it's a small segment of what we're doing. I don't want to minimize how pleased we are with him, but I also don't want you to look so far down the line saying that's one part of things.
You mentioned yesterday trying to find some of the separators among players as they're competing. With the cornerbacks in particular, what are some of the things that you're really looking for to see those edges?
Yeah, I think one, like vertical control, you know, when there's shots down the field, what takes place on those. We haven't had a lot of those because of our intentional work down in the red zone first. Then the ball skills, you know, how many times are they getting in the tough positions to get their hand on the football. And then when we get into the later piece, that'll be the tackling. But those three would be the markers that are constant, you know, separators.
Dan, what are some of the things in your experience that rookie quarterbacks have a tougher time adjusting to that maybe holds them back a little bit? And I guess how is Jaden doing in some of those areas?
Yeah, I would say the speed of everything is at the front of any rookie, you know, like it's just a jump that naturally happens. Some of the windows to throw to are tighter maybe than they have been accustomed to based on college or how fast things go. But by and large, those are the things that you just keep improving at because now it'll eventually slow down as well. And so when that process happens, that's when you see a lot of the guys really take off.
And how is Jaden progressing?
Outstanding.
Hey, Dan. Kicker, we haven't asked you about that. You obviously have one in camp, but
Right.
Is there still a plan to bring in others, and how much is that dependent on kind of what happens around the league, since obviously some teams have multiple kickers now?
Yeah, and I think you're right. There's, you know, maybe almost half the league have two into that space, but that and other positions are, you know, still part of the competition. With that specific one, you know, getting into the games, that'll be an important piece, right, to where, you know, the field goals, the extra points, and the kickoff. You know, so like seeing that, you guys will see some of the kickoff and kickoff return at practice today, but that'll be, you know, the third part of that.
And with Sam Cosmi, obviously it's a big year for him going to the last year of his rookie deal. What have you seen from him on and off the field, and how do you view him as part of what you guys are building here?
Yeah, I'm excited for Sam. He's somebody, you know, coaching against, you saw, you know, the ability, the talent, all of that to go. But now being on the same side, getting to know who he is off the field and the standards he wants to set for himself. But I thought he's off to a great start with us.
You mentioned day 3, so tomorrow is one of those days where they get a chance to step away. What will you tell them, and is it possible to take a day at this point and rest?
Yes, you have to, because I guess our times together are really intense. They go all the way through, so those little resets, they can help. What went well in my 3 days that I did? What was 1 or 2 things that I really nailed, I've been working on? What's the one thing on this next 3-day block? By the time that's over, I want to have addressed that as well. So small margins to get better.
But are you asking them also to take time?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they have to really recover, not just physically, but mentally as well.
We've asked a lot about Jaden Daniels, but
Yes, we have.
What about Marcus Mariota?
That a babe.
What have you seen from Marcus out on the field and in the meeting rooms?
That away. All right. Well, the thing I've gotten to know Marcus, coached against him for a lot. You don't know when you coach against somebody what the man's like. And so he has got just a absolute presence about him. Teammates, they're drawn to him. This quarterback room really has the makings of something very special, very unique, and in different ways. Jaden's spoken about it. Marcus has spoken about it. Tavita has. Cliff has. So their connection together, you feel that. You hear that from them. But the fun part about coaching, or one of the fun parts, is finding the specific things that people do well. And so when you're in a training camp setting like now, you're installing plays not always specific to a player. And so if you were just to put a line in, these might be the 10 or 15 concepts that Marcus does best. This might be the 10 or 15 that Jaden does best. These are the same with Jeff. And so that's how you would do a game plan. That's different than a training camp install. And so learning what guys do as you're going through practices, man, that's a good play for him. That's what the fun of putting the big puzzle is together. But I didn't know the leader. You had heard so many things from him, about him, that he was good. I spent a lot of my off season in Hawaii, and I see people, tell Marcus I said hello. I said, I didn't know you know him. He said, I don't. But that's how they feel about him back home as well. And so I thought, what a great line for that. Just, hey, tell Marcus hello. And, I didn't know you know him. I went to a camp one time. He was there. And so the connection that he has away from the game with his teammates is really strong, too.
Hey, Dan. David Blau, he's throwing passes, he's catching passes, he's faking, rushing the passer. What have you seen from him, and how much does it help to have a guy who, he's 28, he's that age, he can still connect really well with the guys? What have you seen from him early on in his coaching career?
Yeah, and all of these are new for him as well as he's going through it. And so he's also really involved, with Sam in that development plan too. So knowing this is what we're going to do this month, and we laid out everything that looks like for Sam to go. But much like you do with a player, we're not just developing players. We're developing coaches too, and we're not going to miss one step with a guy like Dave or William Gay or Sharif or Ryan Kerrigan that are ready to take these moves together, because the good part about something like that, or one of the good parts, is they've seen the game through the lens of the helmet. And so for a guy at quarterback who's done that and seen that, he also knows what development looks like. He knows what starting looks like, what being a backup looks like, the good and the hard with that. And so he's got this unique perspective that I want him to be able to share with those guys, because it's not one size fits all. So he's off to a great start with us.
Jonathan Allen said the other day that he can see in the locker room that every guy feels like they have something to prove. So how does that make you feel as a coach when you have leaders like that are saying that, then you have a bunch of guys that aren't coming out there expecting anything handed to them?
Well, I would say his coach has something to prove as well. So I think that makes, not just in the locker room, but that's a lot in the building. Adam does, I do, a lot of us do. And so some of the best competitive moments in my life have been when you've had to prove it. And there's something really strong that comes from that. And I'm glad that he and his teammates feel that way, because I think that'll bring out the best in us.
Hey, Coach, you spoke about it a little bit when it comes to the relationship between Marcus and Jaden, but when you're out there on the field, anything specific you're seeing in terms of Marcus pulling Jaden aside, or kind of how do they play off of each other?
Not let you hear, comments, back and forth to another good ball, just encouragement, I would say, is the thing that you see. And so sharing, what'd you see, how'd it go back? So just, I wouldn't say coaching one another, but like giving support to one another and what could happen, what's next. So seeing those two things take place is always good, because whether you're a veteran or a rookie, having somebody look there and watch and just, give you feedback peer to peer, that helps, And so when it comes from your teammate, that's a big deal.
And then Sunday will be the first day fans will be here on the premises to take in training camp. What sort of aspect does that add to a training camp setting? And
I'm
how
really
excited
looking
are the
forward
guys?
to it.
Yeah.
I really am. And practices are getting ready to perform. And so I'm looking forward to having the fans here for all the open practices, knowing that that's just another chance for the guys to perform. There's a ramp up in energy, a ramp up to that. And that's what performing is. So all of these practices are so valuable. So to add the extra element to energy and even more of that, that's a really cool thing. So I'm looking forward to having everybody here.
I know we joke and chuckle just a little bit ago about how a lot of these questions are about Jaden and his performance, his development. Is there a concerning part to you in the fact, our focus and a lot of the focus is on Jaden, and how do you maybe address that with Jaden or the team?
It's funny, we don't talk about him as much as we do here inside. So he's part of the team there. And so it happens out here, but it doesn't happen inside. And that's kind of the fun part about being on a team, where everybody's role and how do we all connect, and we're an extension of each other. And so he is fully embraced in that as well. Not only is he an exceptional talent, he's an excellent teammate. And in his short time here, he's already proven that. And so people recognize that. He's got the humility and the hard work of the rookie with a little bit of swag of an older guy. And so that's a pretty nice blend to have.
And you've been around a lot of different football teams, and every team has a different personality, right? I know it's still very early, but what kind of personality do you think this team is developing?
I would say you're right that you can't say what you're going to be. There's a big gap between that, who you say you want to be and who you actually are. And so the practices, the games, that will be it. But I would say this team is made up of a lot of hustlers, and they really are putting in work to go. And so I'm hopeful when you see the practice standards, when you see the effort, those are things that will carry us with some really high standards. I think this team will be a good tackling and physical team, but we haven't even been into that space yet. And so it's very hard to go to that space. That's what we want to aspire to be. But until we do that, it's just out there. And so we've got to live it together.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
From a physicality standpoint, obviously you guys want to be really aggressive, and
Yep.
specifically a player like Emmanuel Forbes, who had kind of a rough rookie season. How much can you really evaluate of his progress before he can strap on the pads and go out there and really kind of showcase everything he can do?
Well, I think you want to hit the markers along the way, right, Dave? So, for him, adding more size, and so to be, 15 or 18 pounds heavier than he was a year ago, that's a big step in the right direction. So it's a matter of hitting all the spots to go. And so tackling, that part of things, that's a big piece of it. But until you go through some of the games and that, you're not really able to demonstrate that, but you can show markers. My body feels different. I'm stronger. Those are things that lead up to that, but you still have to go do it.
Absolutely. And then Quan Martin, he said himself, most of his snaps, if not all of them, have been at the safety position.
Yes.
What about his game made you guys comfortable really kind of isolating him there?
Two-part, Samer still as well, to say who's going to be nickel, who's going to be safety, how would we play Quan to go. He's got excellent tackling ability, so at safety that's, at the top of the pile along with ball skills. So those were things that I saw from him. And through the evaluation from a year ago, we saw that. And so the two of those together are a nice, dangerous combination. I'm already, he's already standing up ready. Thank you.
Coach, as you see the young guys on defense, is there anybody, well, how do you feel and have they progressed throughout camp? And is there anybody that's been sticking out or been showing out so far?
As we're getting started, I'll know more on the line of scrimmage guys. You can ask me that same question about a week from now, and I'll give you a better evaluation, because so much of their time is on skill work to demonstrate that to go. So that part, I would say, after 2 sessions, it's harder to evaluate and give you an honest assessment. But what I can tell you is that I'm pleased with the progress of their communication and their speed to go. So those are things that I'm happy with, but probably too early to say who's sticking out just yet, especially at the line of scrimmage. Okay, now I'm ready, Nikki.
Sorry, just to clarify, is Amanda Forbes
Heavier, yes, yep.